This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Zoe Jones. 6 people have now been charged in a drug trafficking conspiracy that turned up over 280,000 fentanyl pills, making it the largest fentanyl pill bust in Minnesota state history, according to officials. 6 people were charged with a conspiracy to distribute fentanyl. The 6 are accused of traveling to Phoenix to get the pills from suppliers and hiding them inside of stuffed animals. Then they would mail them to addresses around the Twin Cities. In all, the pills had an estimated value of over $2.2 million. The United States Drug Enforcement Administration says 2 milligrams of fentanyl is considered a potentially lethal dose. One man is also charged with 1 count of possession of a firearm and as a felon, and 1 count of possession of a machine gun. Switching gears, it was a wild time in the weather world overnight as snow and ice made its way back into the valley. Let's check in with First Alert Storm Team Shelby Ebertowski for a look at our current conditions. Shelby.
Well, Zoe, things are still a little snowy in areas near the Devil's Lake Basin. Still just a few flurries, nothing heavy of accumulation, just a light dusting. But take a look at this. This is snowfall reports we received throughout the day today. Lancaster, Minnesota just had under 2.5 inches of snow. Thief River Falls and Grand Forks just about 1.5 inches. Morris, Minnesota just under 1 inch. And even here in Fargo, we didn't have much, just about 1/2 inch of snow. But we do have more chances for snow throughout your week. Now, we do have a few more chances for some light flurries on Monday, but then our next system we're watching is on Wednesday. That's going to bring us some scattered and even some widespread snowfall. Now, we're not expecting a lot of accumulation with that, just anywhere from traces to up to 1.5 inches for most of us. But then that is right before our first alert weather day. But take a look at this. Most of us are having some clear skies in the central part of the Red River Valley. Some heavier and more dense clouds in areas near Devil's Lake and Bemidji, but temperatures are still getting on the cooler side. We already have areas like Thief River Falls getting to -1 degrees, 9 here in Fargo, 14 in Devil's Lake, with our wind chill temperature still much cooler than what we've seen the last couple weeks or even months as winter is finally starting to really arrive. It feels like -15. Zoe, but we do have a first alert weather day that's going to bring even cooler temperatures and cooler wind chill indexes, but I'll have that forecast for you coming up.
Thank you, Shelby. 1 person has died after an ATV went through the ice on Pike Bay in Cass Lake, Minnesota. Cass County Sheriff Brian Wilk says his office received a report around 11:15 a.m. on January 5th about a Polaris Ranger ATV that broke through and went into the water on Pike Bay. An 82-year-old man from Bemidji was pulled from the water by witnesses who were fishing in the area, and life-saving efforts were immediately initiated. Now, when deputies arrived on the scene, they got to the man to a safer location and continued life-saving efforts. The victim was transported by airboat to an ambulance and taken to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. An autopsy is scheduled and the victim's identity is being withheld pending notification of family members. Another man who was on the ATV also went into the water and was treated on scene. Tonight, the FAA has ordered the temporary grounding and immediate inspection of nearly 200 Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircrafts after that terrifying mid-air experience on Friday night. Amazingly, the Alaska Airlines flight landed safely and no one was seriously hurt, but the frightening episode is raising new concerns about the safety of that kind of aircraft. Dana Griffin has more.
About 8 minutes into Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 from Portland, Oregon to Ontario, California, sheer panic as a piece of the plane went missing. The Friday night sky suddenly widely visible from inside the plane as the crew scrambled to keep passengers alive.
We declared emergency. We need to descend down to 10,000.
A cabin panel blew clear off this Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft. Loaded with 177 passengers and crew, the scene on board remaining eerily quiet.
A lot of people around me were a lot calmer than I would have thought for a situation like this.
An emergency landing back to Portland. Passengers applauding the crew's actions, relieved to be alive.
This wasn't even the emergency door.
That refrigerator-sized hole in the plane appearing to be an emergency exit is actually called a plug door. To passengers, it would look like any other window seat.
There was thankfully no one seated near the window.
Luckily, according to passengers, no one was seated in that spot.
There was a mom and a son sitting in that aisle, and the son's shirt was like completely blown off, and his body was extremely red. I'm assuming due to like irritation of the wind.
Reaction to the incident coming swiftly with the NTSB investigating. The FAA is requiring immediate inspections of certain Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes before they can return to flight. Alaska Airlines immediately grounded its 737 MAX 9s for inspection. The airline says it has already checked a quarter of its fleet with no concerning findings, and that aircraft will return to service as their inspections are completed with our full confidence. Boeing today saying safety is our top priority and we deeply regret the impact this event has had on our customers and their passengers. The airplane manufacturer saying it will support the NTSB's investigation. A nighttime flight leaving passengers stunned by this scare in the air.
So grateful we weren't higher in the air, that more things didn't fly out, that no one flew out. I think that's incredible that we're all safe.
United Airlines has also grounded some of their planes for inspections, which could cause some cancellations in the coming days. Well, today marks the third anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. It's been 3 years since a large crowd of supporters of former President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol. Since then, federal prosecutors have found hundreds of those involved guilty on charges ranging from unlawful picketing to inciting conspiracy, and nearly 750 of them have been sentenced with terms ranging from a few days of confinement to 22 years in prison. Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty in the election interference trial that's set to begin as soon as March. And as hundreds of rioters remain at large, there are just 2 years left for prosecutors to bring charges before the statute of limitations expires. Well, make sure to mark your calendars for March 7th. That is when House Speaker Mike Johnson has invited President Biden to deliver the State of the Union address. Biden accepted the invitation with a post on social media reading, quote, "Looking forward to it, Mr. Speaker." The annual speech offers presidents the chance to highlight their priorities and agenda at the start of a new year. It will also be Biden's largest national audience of the year. As a result, White House aides are aiming to use it to lay out an agenda that the president can take on the campaign trail. That includes protecting the Affordable Care Act and expanding efforts to relieve student debt. President Biden is also expected to call on Democrats and Republicans to act on issues he feels they should be able to agree on, such as tackling the fentanyl crisis. Mentioning student loan repayments resumed in October, but some borrowers are still receiving inaccurate billing statements. That's according to a new report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It lays out challenges the Education Department's student loan servicers have been facing since the pandemic pause ended. In addition to billing errors, borrowers are experiencing processing delays and long hold times. According to the report, the average borrower waited 73 minutes to speak to a live agent in late October. One person, the report says, waited more than 9 hours. Millions of borrowers didn't make their first payment last fall due to problems created by their loan servicers. And in response, the Biden administration is now punishing 3 of its 4 servicers. It's withholding more than $2 million from AidVantage, Ed Financial, and Nelnet, saying that the companies failed to meet their contractual obligations. To stay in the know, be sure to download the VNL News app. You can get push alerts, updates to stories, and much more. You can download and use it for free. Just search VNL News in the App Store today. Back home, the West Fargo Fire Department posted on social media today that if you are in need of a COVID-19 test, well, you're in luck. They have at-home tests free of charge at their headquarters. That location's on the screen. Also on the screen is a number that you can call so that if you want a test, you can pick one up. Today was the second day of the Fargo Pack event, and organizers have hopes of packing 10 million meals over the next several days. Volunteers will be filing in and out of the Fargo Dome over the next week and a half, forming assembly lines and packing meals to benefit hungry people all over the world. Schools, church groups, businesses, and individuals are all encouraged to sign up for a shift. Organizers told Valley News Live that they had 500,000 meals packed by the end of the day. Valley News Live will be there on Monday afternoon helping out, and we hope to see you at the Fargo Dome.
We do have that first alert weather day for Thursday for our first day of some Arctic air that's going to continue to stick around, and you can see that here for your temperature trend after Thursday. That's when we're going to continue to have our temperatures well below normal for most of us, but we also have a few more rounds of some snowfall. Not expecting heavy accumulation with that, but don't go anywhere because in the next few minutes I'll have your full forecast on what you can expect for your first alert weather day.